Hello, I'm Chris, this is Gross Models, and welcome to issue 5 of building the Delorean from Back to the Future. It's looking nice, it's getting there. Yeah, this time is a little bit unusual. Well, no, it's not. It's perfectly usual, really. We're building the left front suspension and brake. Now, this is going to be a video just doing this. There's nothing else to go with it. It's just standalone part. Next issue is the same, but for the right front suspension and brakes. So it's the same parts, basically mirrored. But we'll worry about that when we get there, and we'll see how we can make that build more interesting, because this one's going to be interesting because it's the first time we've done it. So we need some pretty strong suspension to deal with time travel. The suspension in this is different to every other car build that I've done because the wheels have the ability to flip. So they're built somewhat different to previous car builds that I've done. And I've done some suspension on a couple of different car builds now. So we're building the left front suspension. So we need this bit and that bit. Nice and easy. I don't know what they are. Fit part 5B into the gap at the bottom of part 5A and secure with 2 AM screws. And I've got all the screws, all the different type of screws that we've got in this one. It's great. 2 AM screws. So there's 3 in the packet. So I'm assuming one of those is going to be spare. So I'll get 2 out, put the packet out the way because I like to clear it as we go. So one of these will go in this side. It's in a long slot that this is going into. So I'm assuming that there's going to be some ability for sliding movement as well as turning movement. There might not be any turning movement because it looks like it might be going into a groove on that bit. But we'll see. We'll get there. All we can do is build it as it says, and then we learn as we go. So that's going through there. I'm securing it, but I don't know how tight to make it because I obviously should potentially be able to move a little bit. But we'll see. I can always loosen them off if I need to. But that's that, which turns, but I don't think it should turn. I think it should go up and down a bit. Top of that and top of that. So I don't know. We'll work on it as we go. I am going to be using a couple of BM screws for the next part. So I'll get those out already. 2 of those. And we are then fitting this up into there. Oh, right. Okay. I got you. That goes through there and the screws go through and into there as well. Through the little holes there. So get that lined up. Hopefully so I can see it. And of course the screw's fallen off of the screwdriver. Let's put that back on there. That again. About there. Yeah, this is going to be one of those builds, isn't it? See if we can see through from that side, maybe. From the underside, I might be able to see what I'm doing a little bit. Yeah, that's gone in there a bit. So this will then go on the other side. Conveniently placed L in there, so we know that this is the left one. So that goes in there. Once again, tightening, but not, not to extremes, because it still will need to have some movement to it. There we go. Right, so then the spring is going over the top of that. So far, so easy. Then the lower part, the spring's got to go into under there. And that's got to connect up to there. And an EM screw. Let's grab that first. Because I can't be, put the spring under tension and then have to put it down to go and find a screw. So this is going in there. And that's bending. That's why this has to be a little bit looser. Let's just see if that's... See, that won't actually go under there yet. That obviously needs to be looser, so that will move. Then we can come back and tighten them down as and when we need to in a moment. So that's going to... Yeah, that's a little bit better. A little bit higher than that still, even. A little bit more. There we go. Yeah, then that fits under there. That's better. Right, I understand that now. That goes under there. That goes through there. And this will even come through there. There we go. Got that moving under there, so I can hold that like that, and then get that screw on there. It's one of these screws with a big built-in washer, so that's fine. Not fine because it's not actually working right with the screwdriver there, and there. That's not going straight. That hopefully will enable it to find its thread. There we go. Yep, that looks like that's in the right place. I'm going to switch out to the slightly heavier screwdriver. And I'm going to do a little back turn after every turn or so, just to clear the thread and get that in there where it needs to be, all the way down, and then that should be that, and that's going to be working. Tighten these just a touch, and make sure the other bits are still tight as well. They feel fine. Happy with that? Happy with that. Like that. So far so good. Now we've got this piece to go through there with CM screws. 3 CM screws there, obviously. One spare, as ever. If all of these spare screws got together, that's just going across there. That through there? Is that not going anywhere? Let's tighten it up through there so it can go through until it actually starts to come through there. Then we can get it in the right place. Hopefully. Get that lined up. I feel like that's in the right place. Because it isn't. That would be why it feels like it isn't, because it isn't. That is. That down, and then do the same the other side. And that covers over there. Okay, I feel like it's coming together a little bit. Still don't understand how any of this actually works, but my understanding is gradually improving. Each and every one of these that I do gives me a little bit more, insight as to the mechanics of suspension and things. I know it's all to do with the big springs, but that's about all I know at the moment. Go, that's in there. Let's tighten up the other side now. Nice. Then I'm going to need a couple of DM screws. Get the bags open. There we go. I don't want to lose the bit of paper that says DM on it, because I might need that. Otherwise I won't know which screws they are. Still in the packets. There you go. 2 DM screws, and that's holding this piece in. Now I've got to get that the right way round, obviously. That and that there. That one off to that side. That's like that. Can't actually see that bit, but it's got to be there, isn't it? But that's got to go through there with a DM screw underneath that. Like that. That's the screw goes through there, so it just tightens into this bit. Get that in there a couple of turns. Then get the top bit in. Yeah. Not terribly clear about the other side of that, because it doesn't actually show that from a useful angle. But it's got to be like that, isn't it? That's got to be the way it goes. So we can get that tightened down a bit more now. That means that won't actually... can't spring anymore if it's got that in there. I don't understand. thought that suspension bit was going to move, but it can't move if you've got a big bit in between it all, I think. I don't know. Maybe the suspension on this is decorative rather than functional. Unless that's still meant to move a bit. I don't know. But that's what I've done there. Next up, a part that looks huge but is in fact tiny. We've got a tiny little spring that's going over there. And then that is going onto there with a DP screw, because that's plastic. Let's get the plastic DP. Well, the screw's metal, but it's going into plastic, hence the P bit of the name. There we go. That's one of those coming out there. Leaving one for later, no doubt. So that with the spring on it goes on that side into the big hole there. This is obviously the brake disc. That, if it doesn't keep falling off with a screwdriver, we go onto that side of that. And can't tighten it up very easily because it's round and turning. Let's push it through as far as I can, and then I can tighten it down a bit. That feels better in there. Secure that with a DP screw. That's pretty much secured, and that's got a bit of springy play to that now. I like that. Next up, we are aligning the holes. That's this bit. Again, it looks huge. So that's that way round. That's that way round. Those two holes line up in there. Like that. And there's room for a single screw on there. Am I using that? Yes, an AP screw. I knew there'd be a reason for giving us the AP screws. It's because we're going to use one to put a thing together. That's that. Going in there. Just like that. And I thought we had extra DM screws, so we have one more in there. Well, there's two in there, but one's going to be spare. So we're using the last of the screws there. Let's get this that way round. And then that is going... hold the left brake and suspension assemblies together and secure them with a DM screw. That way round? No, with that bit on the outside. That's going down there. That's going on to the... Oh, I understand now. That goes on there. And this is where the wheel attaches. So, yeah, that was correct to put that bit down there. That will go on there. Don't over tighten the screw because the brake assembly will need to move as shown. Yes. It all moves in various different directions. That will need to move down because that's where the hinge wheel thing works. What's that? That's got a big magnet in there. I didn't realise that. There we go. So that holds up and locks in place with a magnet, which is quite nice. I'm going to tighten that a bit more to make that a little bit stiffer when it sort of goes down, and I think if I make that even tighter, that will go down and not actually be able to fall down past that. There's a little peg holding it in place. Although it doesn't, it does still wobble a bit. I shall play with that and see if I can get that to work better. But yeah, before we do that, that is it for the build. I'm just going to tighten these other ones up to stop that wobbling sideways quite as much as it does. No, it still does. It's obviously a thing. There we go. It moves, but that's going to have the steerage thing attached to it, so that's okay. And that will come down to there. That's good. I like that. That works for me. So that's that. But as ever, we're going to have a look at the rest of the magazine, because that's, you know, half of what you're here for, isn't it? We'll have a flick through the rest of the magazine and see exactly what they're talking about this week. The leading lady. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Lorraine Margaret implies mother. Yeah, but mother, but also young, because it's in the past or the future. Somewhat Back to the Future in the past. Films that she's been in. Slicing through time, the visual effects of the time traveling things. Very cool, the lightning. That's the thing. It comes out the front and makes a little portal thing that it goes through. Very cool. George, the young George McFly. Marty's dad. Cool. And the flux capacitor. That's one of the hero pieces of the car. All very nice. I like that. In the next issue, we're going to be doing some suspension. We're doing exactly the same, but mirrored for the other side. So join me very shortly for doing that, and hopefully it will be a quicker build and it will be easy because we know what we're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. Thank you very much for watching. I shall see you very soon. Stay safe. Bye bye for now.